If you finish in the top 6, please may I get a shout out? Yes, mate. There you go.
Come on, Simba! Beat them! There you go. Use that video.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, nah, Patrick, leave. No. Leave.
Nah.
What is up, guys? It is Simba here, and welcome back to another WR video for round number 4 for the Brazilian Grand Prix. If you haven't seen the last race in WR, which was in Belgium, I recommend you go check that out before you see this one, and the last race in AEC if you haven't checked that already as well. And if you're looking forward to more WR content, make sure you hit the like button and get subscribed to the channel for more league and team racing content. Both are in full swing now, and there'll be more, more frequent uploads on the channel. So let's get straight into this. Obviously, spoilers ahead from the last race in Spa. We finished P4 after penalties, so we're going into this just outside the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship, tied on points with another 2 cars. So if we can, score another decent result, we could get into the top 10 for the first time since joining WR Tier 2. But unfortunately, qualifying isn't starting off very well. We invalidated our first run. We tried again on the same set of tyres, and again, we marginally invalidated. So it's not the cleanest start to a qualifying session you want to have. Obviously, the first lap doesn't matter too much as long as you give yourself a delta. We don't quite have that at the moment, so we're going to see if we can improve. Down into turn 1, a little bit hesitant on the way in, but we still carry good speed, and turn 2 was quite decent as well. So we've gained just under 300ths of a second as we go in towards sector 2. Going into turn 4, braking just after the 100-meter board. On the curb, we lose the rear end a bit. We were a bit too aggressive on the turn in, and we're going to have to use a bit of overtake to compensate for the poor exit. So, yeah, not very clean. Going through this uphill double right-hander, and then going down towards turn 7, we don't quite clip the apex, and we scrub up a bit too much speed for this long left-hander as well. You can see I'm toying about with the ERS levels as well, down into medium for sector 2, so you can have plenty to burn on the final straight up lap in sector 3, because that's where I was making, that was the one error I was making in the AEC pre-season race around here. I didn't save myself enough battery for this long straight where you just want to burn the battery all the way to the line. We have to momentarily pause the burning to make sure we just have enough to cross the line, and as a result that is a 7.2. It gets us into the top 10, but I'm not very happy with that. I was doing a little bit faster in practice, so we're going to see if we can improve. A new set of tyres on the wagon. Let's give it another go. Down towards turn number 1. Down the gears, down to 4th, a little bit cleaner on the entry, and through turn 2, we do that pretty nicely. But unfortunately, again, we invalidate, and this time it's in the exit of turn 2 onto turn 3, and I was getting quite frustrated because I felt like we could do a pretty solid lap. We're just not putting it together, and it's quite marginal around Brazil. It's a very short lap, just over a minute, so you want to push us to the limits as much as you can, because if you lose half a tenth, it could be the difference between 1, 2, maybe even 3 places. So we're going to try again. This time, we keep it clean to the first 3 corners. We have a little bit more ERS to burn down the straight, as advised by FG Kieran, who was engineering me a bit throughout this race. And we have found just over half a tenth. We lose a bit through turn 4, but we gain it back by actually cleaning up the exit. And now we go into the heart of sector 2, down towards turn 6. As down to 6th gear we go, making sure we don't go too wide on the entry to turn 7. We actually clip the apex through there, and we actually carry some decent minimum speed through the long left-hander, using a bit of overtake on the exit. We're staying in medium. We're turning a bit too early for that downhill right-hander. That's one of the corners I've kind of been struggling with in practice as well, just timing the turning point. And so far, we're 10th.5 up. We lose a little bit on the exit of the last corner. We weren't too aggressive on the inside curb there, but now this is where we're going to gain the time on the delta. We're burning the battery all the way down the straight towards the line. We go 2 tenths up, and that throws us straight into the top 6 with a much needed improvement and quite a bit of relief for myself as well, because I was a little bit worried that we were not going to get the lap in. So Yeah, looking
Okay,
pretty
yeah,
decent.
no,
There is a
we'll
bit of
go to
time
Brazil.
in
Okay,
the lap. Obviously, there might be a bit in
okay,
sector
yeah.
2 with that left-hander.
We're gonna
You know,
give it
we
one
could
more
be a
go.
bit more aggressive through turn 4. And obviously, the last corner, we can be a little bit more aggressive there as well. So, rain is about to fall. Let's see what happens as we go down to turn 1 for one final time.
Oh, fucking hell. Well, that is game over.
Well, we had a bit of a moment. That is not the
Right,
line you
just
want to take
started
into
raining.
turn 1. We took the grass on the entry, and it just spatters out off the circuit, and that is game over. But thankfully, the rain came down. No one really improved, and that is us in P7. So, pretty decent stuff in qualifying. As you can see, we are one of 7 cars to get into the 1 minute 6s. Epic fail, absolutely rapid around here with a 0.6. But yeah, pretty decent. I feel like the maximum we could have got was P6 if we just cleaned up a few more corners. But, you know, we managed to get ourselves in a pretty solid position. It's the 4th row once again. So let's get into the race and see what we can do from P7. So here we go then, time for the start of the race. You can see by the race director a lot of variety with the strategy. The popular choice seems to be the medium tyre. We're going to go for the hard tyre, and I will say I didn't do a single bit of race practice before this race. So the main priority was qualifying. So we're going to start on the hards, do the same strategy we did in the AEC pre-season race, and try and go long on the hard tyre. But we might lose some track position on the opening lap, but we're going to make sure we get the best start possible for the Brazilian Grand Prix. And the lights are out, and we are underway here in Interlagos. And the getaway, considering we're on the hard, was pretty solid. And we're going to see if we can just protect the outside line. We've got Schumacher also on the hard tyres. He gives Spicer a bit of a budge. We managed to get away unscathed, but we give the door open for BRT Owen, who started 10th. He's looking to make some progress on the medium tyres, and he's going to go up the inside. We get boxed in by Spicer. We tap the back of him. Owen shoves his way through past the both of us, and he is up into P6 now. So really good start from Mercedes. And crucially for us, I'm not too bothered because, you know, we've only lost one position, and that is to someone on the medium tyres. So it's not really a bad thing at all. So track position is pretty key around Brazil. As Spicer has a moment, and we're going to see if we can try and launch one up the inside, try and be a bit aggressive. There's a bit of contact, but he gets the better drive on the outside line, so going for that wasn't really worth it. But yeah, we can now settle into a rhythm and try and learn our way around the track, as I didn't do much race practice at all, if not any. So the setup was a bit, you know, improvised, but we've managed to make it a decent setup as Blunty in the assistant Mercedes sends it up the inside, and I'm not really bothered. He can do that if he wants to. It's lap 2, but speaking of lap 2, Schumacher is fighting again.
Oh, Schumacher, please don't break the train already. I hate this guy with a passion.
So, like I said at the start of the race, Schumacher started on the hard tyre, and I think he's managed to make some decent progress on the opening lap or two. So he's looking to try and retain it, but as a cost of that, you know, we might be losing DRS to the cars ahead. And meanwhile, Elite Risk was recommending that I stay ahead of PGR Lucas on the medium tyres, but again, I'm not going to fight someone on the mediums on lap 3. It's a bit too early for that, as Lucas looks to make some progress in turn 2.
Oh! What am I just
Okay, caution, virtual safety car is out, reduce speed and maintain a positive delta on your dash.
That's brilliant! Mate, that's why I let him through. That's fantastic! Oh my
And as a
God.
result of being overly aggressive for no reason, Lucas has absolutely murdered himself and the Mercedes out of the race. It was a VSC, my reaction was on point. I've made this into a short clip by the time this video comes out as well. So yeah, there's a little bit of a lesson as well. There's no need to be aggressive. It was lap 3. You're not going to win a 36 lap race on the 3rd lap, which is a lesson that most people should know, but unfortunately Lucas didn't quite get the gist, and he's ended up in a war with Blunty, and he's out of the race. So we carry on as we skip through the laps. Predestinato also passed us on the medium tyres, but I wish I didn't do that, because at this point track position is now becoming a proper priority. As you can see, Predestinato looking to try and make a desperate lunge on the inside of Spicer. He couldn't quite make it happen, so now we're going to try and leap on it as the mediums might be a little bit slower than the hards at this point. So we're going to see if we can try and pass the Alpine. He doesn't give us too much space going into turn 4. There's a bit of a wiggle on his entry to the corner. There's more contact on the exit, and we do get through, albeit a bit scruffy. I'm not really proud of that overtake. I mean, it was a little bit scruffy on the way in, and there was a little bit of unnecessary contact down the straight. So we do manage to get up into 8th place, but as a result, you can see Schumacher, he's put 2 cars in between us, and little did I know at the start, Schumacher would actually turn out to be a very key factor in how our race goes, because we're effectively on the same strategy. So the priority is we need to stick with the McLaren as much as we can.
Well, I'm going to be prepared to burn if I see any moves in the pits. There's 1, there's 2. And we burn to stay in. Bosh.
Especially with the fact that the medium runners are starting to pit now for the hard tyres, and it seems quite early, but the undercut around Brazil is quite powerful. So we're burning ERS down the straight just in case we get dropped out by not using any, and if everyone else is using. So in the time in between laps, Schumacher's been catching up and closing the gap between the front runners on the mediums. So that means that we're right in the fray now, but we need to make sure we stay with the McLaren. Otherwise, we're not really going to make the strategy work. So a few more cars in the pits, and by the time we skip again to lap 19, all the medium runners have pitted, and me and Schumacher are out in front. But Schumacher really surprises me here. He goes in on lap 19. I was thinking with Kieran to go to at least lap 21 or lap 22 to really have that tyre advantage at the end. And crucially, he also speeds in the pit lane as we get turns 1 and 2 completely wrong. And that is showing the lack of practice I did. In clean air, for some reason, on this lap, I could not hit an apex to save my own life. So, yeah, not ideal. That's going to be quite costly if we are not really showing the pace on the mediums. I didn't do a single lap on the hards on the mediums, by the way. So, yeah, we're just learning as we go along, using the same strategies we used before. So, Schumacher pitting early has forced our hand to box as well on lap 20. We're going to go on a set of mediums. Bobbert follows us in along with Tech Brutal. He stays out. And yeah, we're going to see how this goes. 16 laps to go in this race, and we should have a tyre advantage of a good 4 or 5 laps over the rest of the hard runners in front of us. So we come out of the pits nice and clean, not over the white line. All is good, and we're out into P10. So we're in the points, and we're going to see if we get any higher. But by the time we get to the end of lap 22, we have caught up to Spicer and Otto in front of us. And now, ideally, I would pass these two by lap 20, by the end of this lap. But unfortunately, we're the third car, and we caught them in the middle sector. So I couldn't really make a move. So now we're draining the battery out of pure frustration, and we just say bye on our way up into P7. So now we can actually push into the clean air. But unfortunately, you know, you've got Vasquez and Owen a good 2 seconds ahead, and because of that, I had to play, you know, I had to drag Spicer along with DRS, along with a few other cars behind us as well, in order to catch up. So lap 27 now, it's taken a little bit longer than I wanted to get into the DRS of the Mercedes. He's looking to pass the RB in front of him going into turn 1, and we're going to see if we can try and make any moves as well. So coming out of turn 2 into turn 3, Owen is surely going to go for a move. We're going to try and use the battery to get closer to the Mercedes, but as you can see, we're going to get boxed in. By the time we get into turn 4, Owen has the inside, he gets through, and we find the space as well to make a lovely move.
Lovely.
And yes, you can hear me say lovely, and indeed it was. We are up into P6, and we've just got this Mercedes in front of us now, and we'll be back in clean air.
Now we take our time to charge the battery, and then we go after Owen. And then we try and chase the top 4. Might be pretty difficult though.
And that is the plan. So we just charge up the battery in the final sector. You can see how much Owen is struggling through there. And we're going to use the battery to pass him. And we're going to see if we can catch the top 4. But like you heard me say in the background, that's going to be pretty difficult because you can see Alpha Gully and Co. are 4 seconds up the road. So Schumacher is really making this strategy work. It's just a massive shame about his 10-second penalty. But as we're looking to size of a move on Owen, you can see the RB and Spicer are also going at it at turn 1. We try and defend our line, try and defend our position, and we managed to do so. And now we've got a clear run on Owen. So DRS open, overtake being used, and Owen knows it's not really a contest. We breeze right past him. By the time we get to turn 4, we are up into the top 5, and it's up to P5 we go in this Brazilian Grand Prix. So now we've got clean air again, which obviously is a good thing, but it's a bit of a problem because I cannot hit an apex, as you can see me missing it by a mile there. And as a result of that, we don't really pull away from the cars behind, even though they were battling away a bit. So we didn't really have much pace. We're not really showing it on this medium tyre. And there's someone that is showing it, and that is Tech Brutal. He started last with no practice. He breezes through. We're going to stick behind him, try and get in his slipstream, but now Spicer sees the opportunity to try and pass us. And remember, these two, they're pretty much going for the championship, as Spicer lets us know he's there, as he gives us a good squeeze through turn 2, as we tried the same at turn 1. And we're still side by side going into turn 4. We leave enough room and respect for each other so we can both get to turn 4, and we muscle our way back through into P6. And this is where I want to be staying, because I want to try and get Tech back for P5 on track.
Oh my god, what is that second warning?
And we've just made things a little bit harder, as we get the most unnecessary second warning you will ever see around this racetrack, which isn't ideal at all. So yeah, we need to make sure we stay with Tech. He started last, he's up into 5th. Fair play to him, as we're looking to stay with him and try and get him back. But you can see he's got quite a decent margin over us, at least 8 tenths going into the last lap of the race. So it's really going to be tough. So we might be looking backwards instead of forwards. Obviously he's got a penalty, but I want to try and get 5th on track, because this is basically for P4 thanks to Schumacher's penalty. So last lap of the race, Tech is flashing. We don't have too much in the battery ourselves, but we're going to give this a go. But Spicer also wants to go as well. We try and cover the inside, but we don't fully cover it. As the Aston Martin goes up the inside, we leave the overtake on. And unfortunately, it looked a bit too easy for Spicer. He's up into P6 now, and you can hear me just a little bit annoyed because we didn't really do the best job saving the battery. As yeah, I was a bit cautious also about trying not to get a 3rd warning, because that would be detrimental to our race. We're going to see if we can try and get him back though. There's still half a lap to go. We can still try and make something happen on the main straight on the last lap. Obviously we did that all the way back in tier 4 on F1 23 to win the championship. So let's see what we can do. You can see that we gain really nicely on Spicer through the last corner, but we lose the rear a bit as the car skates on the curb. And unfortunately, we're going to miss out. It's going to be P7 on track. Schumacher wins it on track, but we'll move up a few places thanks to his and Tech's penalty, and that will be P5.
We take those.
And you can hear me say, we take those, because that is a really solid race from us. P5 in the Brazilian Grand Prix, starting 7th. And yeah, the overcut was pretty solid. We just didn't quite show the pace when it mattered, especially with not doing too much race practice. I think we could have got P4, but Spicer did really well to get us on the last lap. And, you know, it was small things that kind of cost us P4, you know, not having too much battery, the dodgy in-lap that might have cost us a bit more time than it normally would have. But yeah, these are things that we can tune out as this game cycle goes on. And as a result of the last 2 rounds, we are up to P7 in the Drivers' Championship, which is massive because we were really struggling to score points in the first 2 seasons. So it's really nice to show what we can do at this level. And yeah, make sure you guys, you know, tune into the streams. These are streamed every Friday night at 7 PM UK time. As I'm recording this, I am streaming AEC Round 2 Japan tonight at 8 PM UK time. So get subscribed for that. Check out the Twitch for the live streams. And subscribe to the channel for more League Racing content. And as always, I'll see all of you in the next one.